Hey guys, welcome to Bhavika and Lotus CS Chat Show. This is the first episode, and we have Vignesh Raghunathan. Um, so Vignesh is an enterprise customer success manager at Udacity. With me, I'm joined by Lotte Vanlast. She's a customer success manager at Belance, and I'm working as a customer success manager at Algonomy. So a lot of customer success professionals on this call today, and we are lucky to have Vignesh on our first episode. He will be sharing his thoughts over customer success across different organizations. How is it perceived across different organizations? With this, I give over to Vignesh. Vignesh, we would love to know more about yourself and how do you handle customer success at Udacity?
Brilliant. So that's a nice question. But before that, I wanted to congratulate you on just starting with your first episode. I think it's just going to take you miles ahead from where you are at this point in time. That said, a little about me. I've been a customer success manager for about 4.5 years now. Uh, if you ask me how customer success happened to me, it didn't happen by choice. It happened by chance. So one fine day, I was hired in an organization, and I was hired for a sales role. So what happened was the co-founder came to me and said, "Hey, Vignesh, we don't have the opening that you were hired for. It's unfortunately been closed. I've got something else that's exciting for you, and I'm going to put you through it, and it's going to change your life." And I'm really thankful that it did change my life, change my perspective about how I work with people, how I treat my customers, how I do various things in terms of my day-to-day life. So almost all of it is driven by customer success, and that's what's really induced passion in me for the past 4 years, which is exactly why I wanted to be on this chat show for the first
Yeah.
episode, right? That said, being a customer success manager at Udacity is interesting because I get to impact a lot of lives in terms of offering customer success to learners who have partnered with the enterprise division of Udacity. By enterprise, I mean it's a business to business scenario where we sell to enterprises, and enterprises have their learners, their employees, actually employed on Udacity to take nano degrees, which we call them.
Yeah.
And they primarily use them to create impactful skills inside
Right.
their organization. So that's what I do. And in terms of customer success, involved in the entire life cycle of a customer, starting right from pre-sales, going into onboarding, the next phase is the implementation, everything, QBRs, and finally into renewal conversations. So that said, what I really love about my job is I get to be technical, I get to be someone who's customer centric, and at the same time be completely strategic. So I get to be part of organizations and their decision making in terms of
Yeah.
how they prepare their talent for the future skills. That's what's really exciting about my job, Bhavika and Lotte.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's true. It's
Awesome.
really diverse, customer success. You get to be
Yeah.
part of many different departments, and yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
And
that too.
I myself a big fan of Udacity. I recently won a nano degree for machine learning from there. And I really like the way it's structured and the way you can connect also on the portal as well. I've seen like I've attended myself some lessons, assessments and stuff, and it's really nice. So yeah, kudos to you for and we are lucky to have you with us on the show because the audience will get benefit out of it and we would get a lot to learn from you, Vignesh. So welcome to the show. Moving forward with this from here, we have a couple of rounds to this CS chat show because it's not a normal show wherein we'll just invite the guests and they'll be giving us a monologue, but we want to keep it interactive and it would be a chat show. So which means there are a couple of rounds that we'll be taking care of. So we're going with the first round. Um, we would not want to know
Just
your
making
thoughts.
me feel like this is a quiz show.
Sure. So, sorry.
You're making me feel like this is a quiz show.
You
Yeah.
can't win any prizes, but
Yeah,
yeah,
we are really sorry. We're not able to give you any prices, but yes, we want to make this 30 to 40 minutes of your day very lively so that you enjoy. So basically, that's the intention. We'll keep the question simple, so don't worry about that. Okay, so with the first round here, we come with the, basically we want to know Vignesh's thoughts more on customer success across different organizations. So customer success is customer success. We know there are so many people out there on LinkedIn. People are doing so many stuff. There's so many CSMs across the globe working in different companies. But Vignesh had this idea that yes, he wants to talk about customer success across different organizations. How does it take different forms in different organizations, and how do different people perceive it? So with this, I give over to Vignesh to share his thoughts. And yeah, please carry on.
Brilliant. Okay. Before I get started, right, Bhavika and Lotte, I've got one question to ask you. Given that this is the first episode of your show, I want to ask who's a customer success manager? First you and then Lotte.
Okay, sure. So, according to me, customer success manager is like a virtual employee of the customer, because anyways you're working for the company, but the customers that you actually work for, you have the intention to make their life easier. They have subscribed to your product, and they should actually get an ROI out of it, so that at the end of the day they are also delighted and the company is also at profit. So CSM acts as a link between the customer and the company, and I would say it's a role on fire, because there are a lot many things to handle. There are so many departments that you need to coordinate with. But at the end of the day, yes, when I go off to sleep, I'm satisfied, because I get a lot to learn from different people. You get a lot to talk to so many people, and there's so many learnings around it. People like you, people like Lotte, and there's so many other people and so many networks and connections that I've created while I'm in this job. So I feel yes, that's my definition of customer success. Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So for me, yeah, customer success manager, it's all in the name. As a customer success manager, you help your customers to really get success with your product, and it really depends on the customer itself. So you really have to interact, see what they need, and find out how will your customer be successful when using your product or your software or anything, and really help them to get success. So yeah, it's in a name, and it's really interesting because yeah, every customer is different. They have a different background, different story, different needs, and that makes it very, very interesting. And yeah, and also because you're working with a customer, you're working with a product, you're working with everything, you get to work together with every department in your company, and that makes it very diverse. And yeah, for me, that makes it very, very interesting. Yeah.
Brilliant. So I almost got the answer that I was expecting from the two of you. So that actually makes me revert back to three parts of customer success, right? For me personally, customer success is a brilliant concoction of being a technology person. Second, being someone who's entirely customer centric, thinking, breathing a problem for a customer. And the third is someone who can play at a larger level, someone who's strategic, someone who can engage with the customer at a much higher level, take them from where they are from ground, probably about 10,000 feet, and give them a high level view of what things look like. So that said, three parts to it for me. It's technology, customer centricity, and being able to probably convey a good amount of strategy to the customer. So for me, technology translates to depth or product knowledge. Are you tech-centric? Are you product-centric? Do you know your product inside out? The second thing, if you're customer-centric, do you think about your customer's problem day in, day out? Are you a brilliant listener? Do you have the right kind of empathy? If you're put under insane amount of stress, can you still come out of it with a smile on your face? Right? That's what exactly we're looking for in customer success managers. Finally, when I'm looking at the strategy piece, first, if you know the product well, you can understand a customer's problem. Only when you can understand a customer's problem can you play at a much larger level. That much larger level is called being a strategic customer success manager. That said, I'm going to take probably 10 feet back, a big step back, and tell you why all of this is important. The main reason I feel this is important, I've seen this personally in my career across 3 companies in customer success. The first one was primarily a role where customer success was just forming up in the organization. So when it firms up, what exactly happens is there's no clear differentiation between customer support and customer success. When this happens, there's a lot of firefighting that happens, a lot of back and forth with the customer. Customer calls you and says, your product is not working. Nothing's going as it's supposed to do, right? So that's exactly where you learn empathy. That's where you learn to listen. That's where you learn how best you can perform under pressure. That is the first part. The second part being, as you progress further, you're going to be a technology guy. You're going to work with your product, the nuances of your product. In case you love working with your product, you're going to start looking into your APIs. You're going to start understanding how you integrate your product with the third-party products that your customers have. So that's the technology part. And finally, you're going to get into strategy. So through my experience, I've seen always, if you learn the length and breadth of customer success across different organizations, or could be in multiple roles within the same organization, you can tend to be much more successful. I'm going to come at it really strong, this idea really strong, because I personally believe in it. I talk to people, and when I talk to people, I can clearly point out that, hey, this person is a brilliant guy in terms of taking care of customers' problems, solving customer queries, is amazing at customer service and customer support, right? There is a key piece which is missing, which could probably be the product. Or could be the strategy piece, which is completely missing. So if you're moving across organizations or moving inside the same organization into different roles, if you start with customer success, where it's around a support-centric customer success function in an organization, you're going to be primarily working with customers to solve their queries, pick calls from customers, solve anything related to your product. And then you're going to move into someone who's going to get the depth of product knowledge. Customer service as such is very easy, I would call it, primarily because it's going to be a stepping stone for you to be a very successful customer success manager. The second part, product knowledge, or your depth in product, comes with experience. It's going to probably take you about anywhere between 1 and 1.5 years to be a good, fairly decent level, intermediate level expert of your product that you use, right? The product that you sell. Unless and otherwise you know it inside out, you can't go to the third stage, which is called strategy. If you're using your product really well, if you know how to use it, you're going to be a brilliant consultant. That's when you can take someone from really silly problems, really trivial problems, saying, hey, I'm not getting this piece of data from your application, to the stage where, hey, there's a new feature, how do I use it? How can I use 2 or 3 features in tandem? How can I integrate data to flow back into my systems and make the best use of it? So that's stage number 2, being a product expert. And stage number 3 is actually playing with the strategy of a company. By playing, I don't mean playing, I mean helping customers discover the real strategic, the real potential, or the real value behind your software or your solutions. When you work at that level, you're going to create huge impact in an organization. The first one is really trivial. Second one is fairly impactful. The third one is going to decide probably the direction of an organization in terms of customer success. The reason I'm actually going into this is, unless and otherwise, you see the entire life cycle of a customer, starting from support to being a product expert to being someone who's strategic. You could work with SMBs, or you could small and medium businesses, or you could work with enterprises, right? Ultimately, strategy is a word which is usually associated with enterprises. Unfortunately, but I'd really like to pivot on strategy, because strategy applies for small businesses as well as larger businesses. The only difference is, in larger businesses, there's someone else who's actually responsible for it. In a smaller business, it's a C-level, C-suite executive who's responsible for that strategy at that point in time, related to your product. In a case of a SMB, you can create a much bigger impact. You might just be the difference between a product or a SaaS company surviving or not.
Right.
That creates a huger impact than you working with a larger enterprise. Larger enterprises do mean money, do mean a lot of annual contract value to your company. Ultimately, as customer success managers, I still feel the maximum satisfaction is always gotten from the SMBs, because the day founder writes to your CEO or to someone who heads your CS department and says, hey, this person was able to help me with this, and this is where I got because of this. So that's the kind of impact you can create with smaller businesses. So looking at the entire length and breadth of customer success, right from tiny support roles to larger strategic roles across business segments, small, medium businesses, and larger enterprises is exactly the way to go. And the reason it is important, I told you, I reiterated, but if you can do as much as you can in the first 3-4 years of your customer success journey, it's going to change your lives.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah, and I totally agree with impact you can have in smaller companies opposed to bigger companies. I myself work for a startup, Beelams, and it's just so much nicer than if you work for a bigger company. If you want to change anything, you have to go to a hierarchy, and by the time you want to change something and it's approved, it's already obsolete, and you have to start all over again. Smaller companies are much leaner. You can change much faster. Yeah.
Right. In bigger companies, basically, of course, there are a lot of things which are already set up. The processes are set up, and you might have to go according to that. But maybe in startups or maybe in smaller companies, you have much more control in terms of maybe building some processes and maybe taking care of your team or so. So that's how actually the difference goes between bigger and smaller organizations. Of course, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So with that, should we go to the second round? So now we have a rapid fire round. Lotte will be taking care of it from now onwards. Yes, over to you, Lotte.
Yeah. So the rapid fire round. The first question: QBRs, are they outdated or not?
I would say QBRs are not outdated, but the mode of delivery is definitely outdated. I'm not going to. Do you want me to go into detail of it, Lotte?
You can go a little bit in detail. It's a rapid fire round, but just a little bit.
Okay, let's do this. So QBRs are not outdated, right? The reason I say the method of delivery is because whenever you ask for a QBR to your customer, right, they're more often than not available. Can you do it in a different way? Can you make sure it's there in their inbox even before you need to reach out to them, ask for a slot? That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, I understand and I agree. Okay, which is the one skill every customer success manager should have?
Humility.
All right.
Yeah.
That you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. What is, in your opinion, the most pleasant task as a customer success manager? Of course, there are many tasks that we take care of, but just one pleasant task.
Yeah. So I'd say personally, it's onboarding, because that's when I get to make the first connect with my customer. That's when I get to make my first impression, and that's something I really love.
Okay. Awesome. Which is the best way to approach a customer? So of course, there are many mediums, but
phone and call. Pick up the phone and call. Always and every time. Because there's no customer who says no to a phone call. At least the most uncommon thing they do is pick up the call and say, I'm going to call you back later.
Right. Yeah.
And you know for sure there's a call that's going to come back to you. Most cases, emails don't get responses, so it's just calls.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, that's true. It's not only for customer success, but also for sales. Call is the easiest way. Okay, great. Then we go to the dilemma situation round. If an organization wants to start a customer success department, what should they focus on?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So, I mean, so while I'm thinking about it, right, organizations start customer success departments for various reasons. There are organizations which want to impart a higher level of product knowledge into their customers. So they go down the adoption route with customer success. The organizations which are primarily looking at customer success in terms of retention, in terms of churn avoidance, that is a brilliant way to look at it, right? When organizations are ideally starting this, their focus could be different, depending on one, the size of the organization. Second, depending on what their organization really is looking to do with customer success. Like I said, it's again, could be product experts who are imparting product related knowledge to customers. That could be one part of customer success. If they are failing miserably in terms of onboarding, in terms of setting the right kind of expectations with customer, onboarding is what they should be focusing. But ultimately, taking it one step at a time is really critical. Most organizations, I mean, they look at it from a point of view where they want to do too many things at once.
Yep.
So that's
Yeah.
exactly what might not work, but focusing on one thing, isolating each and every problem at a given point in time is what's going to make them super successful. And that's ideally what they need to focus on. What do you think, Bhavika and Lotte?
Right. So, Vignesh, I agree. I agree with your thoughts, and of course, like you said, that as a CSM, you would have to connect to your customers, and whether it's on different channels or whether it's through different mediums. But at the end of the day, we, as a CSM, we need to make that experience delightful for them. And if we are actually starting a customer success department for our organization, one thing that uh, we should focus upon is that to make things structured, things should not be like very chaotic. I have been in such situations as well, wherein we, like, people used to not get to know that which customer has actually churned, which is really a sad state, because you need to make things structured in a manner that the employees, and of course the CSMs, the sales executives, and the entire team is integrated. They need to know that what's happening with the customer, when is he coming in, when is he churning, what is the status, how is he feeling the service, how likely is he to recommend the product to his alliances, basically. So that's what I feel, and I definitely agree with you on your points as well. What do you think, Lotte?
Yeah, I totally agree with the structuring and not wanting to do everything at once.
Right.
You really need
Yeah.
to isolate what you're going to focus on first, and you can't do everything at once. It's too
Yeah.
chaotic, and
It's
it
too
will,
chaotic.
it will mess things up too bad. So yeah, structure is really important, and not only for you, but for the whole team, for the whole company, for the customers too. If there's no structure, things will go all directions,
Haywire.
and
Right.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, yeah, things would not be on, like, they would not be structured, and you would be feeling like, yeah, where are we, basically?
yeah,
So
and you don't learn from it.
you don't learn,
You don't learn
right?
from
Yeah.
it. If there's no structure, how
Right.
can you learn from it? You don't get any data. You don't get any insights. Yeah,
Insights out of it. Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah,
if you do not have those insights, you don't have that data, how would you be able to actually substantiate your point to the customer also out there? Like,
yeah,
this is what you have been performing as far the account is concerned, and we might have to upsell you or maybe cross sell. So there are many other such opportunity also that come along with it. But if there is no structure in place, then the customer would also feel like that, yes, things are not in place, and what am I doing here?
yeah,
So yeah, that's
yeah.
definitely a great point. Yeah. So with that, the last question of this chat show, which is of course a very important question. I've spoken to a lot of people, and I've been asked also this question many times. So since you are on our show, I would love to ask you as well this question, which is, what is the biggest mistake organizations make when starting a customer success department? So.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I know it's a difficult question, but yeah, I know you would definitely be able to crack it.
Let me try my best, Bhavika.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is a really tricky one, and I don't know how qualified I am to answer this or give my response to this. But what I think, right, when most organizations start customer success departments,
Mhm.
it's usually their heads coming together and deciding, hey, we've seen a lot of churn. We've seen, I mean, a product not being adopted well. Other problems related to customer success could be onboarding, could be just upsells, cross sells that they want to talk about. One fine day, they come together, decide, hey, let's start a customer success department.
Department. Yeah.
More often, when they decide this, what happens is everyone has an idea of the problems that customer success can solve behind their head. they think it's going to solve for these problems. One, they have too many problems in hand. And the second is they're usually looking at it from a myopic view. So they're inside the
Yeah.
company, they're looking at their problems, and their thought process is usually going to tell you, hey, if this is going wrong, this is how we usually used to fixing it. Let's try doing that.
Right. Yeah.
What that does is sets you up for failure more often than not.
Yeah.
The best piece of advice, right, I got was from one of my co-founders in one of my previous companies. He said, whenever there is a new employee joining the company in any department, they're the freshest pair of eyes. In the first 30 days, get as much product feedback, get as much
Yeah.
feedback on how to run the function, right?
Right.
That fresh
Yeah.
eyes is what's going to change things for you, is what's
Definitely.
going to define or redefine your problem or your problem statement to you. If you
Right.
can get new people from outside to actually look at the problem, give their point of view, or probably give a problem statement to everyone available in the company who's in the decision making ability,
Right.
to actually look at why you need to start a customer success department. They're
Department.
probably going to be different answers, right?
Yeah.
Whichever is the most relevant, whichever looks like a really solvable problem is what should be taken as the core motive of setting up a customer success department.
Right.
Uh, People don't look at fresh eyes, trying to
Mm.
get a fresh set of eyes, look into a problem
Yep.
statement, can actually decide how your customer success department functions and
Functions.
what it is going to be based on. Because there could be a company which is doing amazing in terms of retention.
Right.
There's a really low rate of churn, probably
Mm-hmm.
negative churn. Uh, Ultimately, they're going back and looking at higher retention, or they're going to
Yeah.
be looking at growing their accounts much faster. While
Yeah.
that is definitely possible, is that the need of the hour? You don't know.
Mm. Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to stop, Pavika. That's my inputs to this.
Awesome. I definitely agree with your thoughts on that. That of course, fresh eyes, new eyes, of course, they get a lot of feedback for your product, and we should definitely encourage those new joiners. And if we actually get to see that, yes, maybe something is working this way, but this person who just came in, he spotted something new and which should get changed. The teams should take that seriously. The managers should take that seriously and encourage them to actually speak up. So that's how the product will improve. And once the product gets improved, you of course get a lot to learn as well, and the customer would also be at the end of the day delighted and happy. So yeah, I definitely second your thoughts. What about you, Lotte? Any inputs to this?
Yeah, in the end, it's the customer who is going to use your product. So
Right.
their feedback is so valuable. If they're not happy with it, yeah,
Then
then in
it's,
the
yeah,
end they're not going to use it. So yeah, of course you need the feedback of your customers.
yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us and for all your valuable insights. It was very nice chatting with you.
Thanks a lot, Lotte. Thanks a lot, Bhavika, for having me on your first
Thank you.
episode. I'm pretty
Yeah.
excited, and
Yeah.
I'm sure the show is going to start creating ripples all around.
Yeah.
Wish
Yeah.
you good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.